Welcome back, Saints. So this is going to be a makeup do's and don'ts video. So if you put makeup on and it doesn't look good, that shouldn't be happening. I'm just joking around. Okay, so I'm just going to show you some things that I like to do, which kind of gives me that feeling that I've got the makeup on right. And maybe it will help you, because I like helping you, help me, help you, or however that saying goes. Okay, let's get started. So I currently have nothing on my face, if you haven't noticed. This is her in the real. This is not a simulation. Okay, so first things first, you actually would like to put some moisturizer or serum on, something like that, after washing your face. That's very important, but I'm just going to talk about the makeup. So I've already done those things. I already have a moisturizer on my face. Now I'm putting a primer on. So let's make this side my do side, my thumbs up side, and this is going to be my no side. Anything on this side of the face, big no. So primer, you need it. I actually picked up another bottle of this recently. This is the Lunar Glow Makeup Primer. It's been around for a while. You can probably find one in a TK Maxx or TJ Maxx. But this is a brand and I do really like them, so check them out. I've been using their primer for like a while. I think this is my third bottle. It comes out in a dropper like this. I'm not sponsored, sadly. Okay, so I'm just gonna like drop some just over the face. I'm gonna do that TikTok thing where they just let it slide, and I literally just go in with a finger. So because this primer is very like fluid like, you don't need much to spread it on the face, and it just settles and sinks in. Why do we need a primer? Tell me in the comment section down below. It helps the foundation or any makeup settle on your skin better, which is exactly what we want here. Welcome to SaintKind's beauty masterclass. So on this side there is no primer, there is no nothing. This side is already suffering. Alright, so next step, I'm going to go into the eyebrows. Now I'm going to show you a don't with the eyebrow. It's a very obvious one. Now here's the thing. A few years ago on Instagram, this was like good stuff, honey. But now people are a little bit skeptical. So a really thick, bold brow. That's something I actually used to do as well. So I'm going in with a very darkly pigmented eyebrow primer. Powder, not primer. And an angled brush. Now, it's not the product in itself that's bad, it's the technique. So let me show you what I'm gonna do. So you can either just go in just like that and start carving out a shape. Now, I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing. This is something I would still do today. But if you want natural brows, this is not for you. So I'm like literally filling in my eyebrow as much as possible. Now, don't get me wrong, on some people this looks great. I do love a thick, bold brow. But on others, it wasn't a good choice. Okay. So I'm trying to not be too sloppy, like I don't want it to be an obvious no, but I just want you to see what I mean by this. Okay, so we can see straight away the eyebrow is there. It's very dark. Now, I do have black hair underneath this wig, so it's not terrible, but say if you had blonde hair and then a black eyebrow. It's a little bit of a contrast, a very harsh one. And I don't think it's a good idea. You might want to go for like a lighter eyeshadow eyebrow powder. But yeah, this is a lot. Somebody out there would go in with their concealer. So I'm using my Too Faced sculpting concealer, and I'm just taking lisp, go away, my straight brush, and I'm just picking up some product off of that, and I'm gonna neaten up the eyebrow. Now this is okay, like this is actually a good technique. I do this myself, and it helps the eyebrow actually. Now you see how I have neatened that up with some concealer? That actually looks pretty good, but there's a better way to do eyebrows. So let's move over to our do side, and I'm going to show you how to do that. This new thing that I have been doing, I've been using an eyebrow pencil. I know, right? This is one from Folklore, a brand, an AliExpress brand. Very nice. I might put a little link down below on where you can get this. You know I love my AliExpress products. So this is the eyebrow pencil in the shade 3. Just gonna put the lid down. Hopefully I don't lose it. And with the pencil, I'm just gonna go in and mimic some eyebrow hairs. I'm just gonna go in, fill in my eyebrow, and keep them very natural. Now here's the thing. I have thick eyebrows. I actually neatened them up today, so the shape is already there for me. I can't lie about that, but I'm still going to show you how to sort of create a nice feathery look that is suitable for any makeup look, especially a natural one. So with this technique, I don't necessarily have to go in with concealer to neaten it up, but I can do if I want to. So now I'm going back in with that same concealer. It's in the shade Golden Beige, by the way, and I'm just going to neaten it up a little bit. Okay, so I'm sure you see the difference already without me saying anything. One is very thick and bold, and one is very light and softer, more natural looking. Okay, let's move on. So next, I like to start my eyeshadow. I'm gonna go for a very natural, neutral look for this one. So on the do side, I'm gonna show you how to start this process. So to put eyeshadow on, you need a base. A base helps the eyeshadow last longer. It helps keep it smooth and things like that. You can literally use an eyeshadow primer, or you can use some concealer. I'm going in with that same concealer I used to sculpt my eyebrows. I'm just patting it on gently over the lid. No problemo. And it's going to help the eyeshadow stick onto the eyelid as well. On the don't side, we're not putting anything on there. Big no-no. I mean, it's okay, but it's not gonna be as pretty. So for the eyeshadow, I am going in with this Dear Dahlia palette. It's full of neutrals, as you can see. And to start on the do side, I'll be going in with, what do I have here? Okay, so it's a little bit limited. I have 2 mattes and lots of shimmers, which is fine. So I'm going in with this brown matte here. Start with a matte. That's what you want to do. So this is going on the do side. I'm just literally patting the color in. So I like to start on my outer corners. And you can just pat that in. So this is a very natural, neutral look. And you can just start with patting. Patting can help you shape the eyeshadow. It can help guide you, show you where you want to go with it. I always go for a classic cat's eye shaped eyeshadow. Some people like it rounded off. Some people like to do clever things like make it very bold and bright and put it all over. I am keeping it very simple. So with patting motions, I'm shaping that and making it happen. And I'm letting the eyeshadow sink into the concealer as well. So I am literally going on the natural shape of my eye socket. That's right, my eye socket. Yeah. And another thing that I'm doing, I'm not sticking to just my eyelid and the crease. I'm going above that as well, because all of this is all the space from literally the bottom of the eyebrow to my eyelashes is all the space I have to put eyeshadow on. So now that I've shaped where my eyeshadow is, you can see this very, very simple cat eye sort of pointed, blended out, feathery, soft, whatever you want to call it look. I'm going to start using circular motions now to bring it in. So I like to start doing this when I bring anything in. So what do I mean by that? It just means I'm bringing it in. So you'll see in a minute. You see how that color is just transferring over to my inner corner now? And I'm just following my natural eye shape. Okay, so let's move over to the don't side. Going in with the same eyeshadow. Some people just go right in with the product. So they start from the center of the lid and they just start circular motions straight away. And then they bring it up and they're not really following their eye shape, they're just going with the flow. That's the two different ways to put a matte base on. Next, we're putting a shimmer on top. So, what is going to complement this matte eyeshadow? Take a little guess. The palette kind of tells you. Not all palettes do this, but in this case, this one does. So the shimmer that's next to it, clockwise in this case, is actually the one that complements this matte brown. It's a very like shiny silver gold. Silver golds in general do complement browns. If you know your color theory, if you know what looks good on the eye, it's a very simple, straightforward thing. If you're not too certain on things like that, sometimes the way eyeshadows are coordinated can tell you. Okay, so I'm going in with this shimmer from the Dear Dahlia palette, and I'm using a flat brush for this. Flat brushes pack things on better than a bristled brush. I always use flat brushes with shimmers, because shimmers are just eyeshadows you pack on. You don't necessarily spread them on, depending on what look you want to do. But for this look, we definitely need a flat, synthetic brush. And I'll be putting this just gently on the center of my lid. So because this is a neutral look, I'm not going to go too crazy. Just going to keep it very classic. And that's pretty much all I need. So you can do this, kind of smear it over, or you can pat it on. And it's enough. So I've had a little bit of fallout there. That's okay. Shimmers do tend to do that, which is normal. So, the wrong way to put a shimmer on is using a bristled brush. You can, it might be okay, but it's not going to be great. And then not following like color theory. This isn't a bad thing, but like with this matte brown, I'm going to try and use this pink shimmer and the bristled brush. So I'm just picking up as much of that as possible. And now I'm just going to try and put that on. So if you do something silly, like start from the outer corner or something, you're just gonna like, I don't know, you're gonna put it on weird, but I'm just gonna try and like pack it on. Like this pink would have been more suitable with like another matte pink, but yeah. So you're just sort of putting that over, and maybe you're using circular motions as well. So circular motions will just spread the eyeshadow everywhere. So you see how this shimmer is just covering the matte completely. It's too much. So yeah, that is not how you complement a shimmer with a matte. You've got the two colors just overlapping each other and it's like, it's a whole thing. Whereas here you can see there's a clear matte and the shimmer complement. Alright, let's move on to eyeliner. This is going to be a fun one. But eyeliner is very specific to your eye shape. So for my eye shape, I've realized that having a thin liner is quite a good thing. So let me just do it quickly, if I can. So I like to start from here, kind of bring it out. It's at a certain angle. There are ways to do angles, but I just freestyle it. And then from that, I bring it down. And then I just keep it thin. So one thing that I'm doing here, I'm looking straight ahead. I'm not closing my eyes. I'm not doing this. I'm keeping my eyes natural. Because this is how it's going to look on your eye. Okay? So I'm doing an eyeliner that suits me. An eyeliner that doesn't suit me is not going to complement me. I don't have hooded eyelids, but I kind of have like smaller eyelids. So giving me a thick eyeliner is just not it. So here you go, let me show you. So I'm just kind of doing the same thing, not very well, and then I'm making it thick. So you see how that has just brought a lot of the attention to my eyes. Like, that is very thick, girl. Yeah, so this just doesn't complement me, but this could complement somebody else, which is great. If you can do thicker eyeliner, it's so much easier. Doing thinner eyeliner is a little bit harder, but with practice and technique, it can work. So yeah, let's move on. I'm going to show you how to apply foundation. So I like to shake the bottle first. I am using this Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation in the shade Fawn. Very important. Know your foundation shade. Very, very important. I know it might be difficult during these times. COVID, lockdown, subject to which country you live in. You can't exactly test things in the stores anymore. But yeah, gosh, it must be very hard. I managed to do all of that before COVID existed, so I know what my shade is. But I actually haven't been able to buy a new foundation since, like a new one from a different brand. So it is affecting us in strange ways. Okay, so let me show you how to do it on the don't side. Applying your foundation directly to your skin. This is something I used to do. I used to do this because I thought it was quicker. And especially with this applicator, it doesn't help. So I've just sort of thrown it on there, and I'm going in with a beauty blender. So doing it this way, it's not terrible, but I find that it's a little bit harder to spread. You see how I'm kind of like really trying to get it everywhere. And then I have to add more because it didn't come out properly. And then accidentally I might be putting too much on my skin because I just don't know. You see there? That's way too much. I just don't know what I'm doing. So don't apply your foundation directly to your skin. This is a no-no. Unless you know what you're doing, but in this case I don't. That's the don't side. The do side, there's a few ways you can go about doing this. You can put the foundation onto your beauty blender, and then you can control how much you want on there. See that? And then from this, you can start dotting it around the skin to get even coverage. Keyword here. You see that? Doing it this way makes it more even. And then you bounce. Or you can go in with a packed brush. This is a foundation brush. So using brushes actually help kind of put the product into your skin more, make it more natural looking, and it helps with blending as well. You have more control over how you blend. Now I use either a beauty blender or a brush. It's really up to you, but either is fine, just as long as you have control of how much foundation goes on the skin. So that is my foundation on. Now virtually you can't see a huge difference between the two, but there is definitely a difference. Or maybe there isn't, I don't know. Okay, next is contouring. Now you can either do this with a cream, a concealer, or a powder. I'm gonna show you how to do it with a concealer. So I personally like to use the same branded concealer. So I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way sculpting concealer. I have one that's a darker shade and one that's a lighter shade, and I'm starting with the lighter shade one first. So on the good side, there's various techniques, but on the good side, you just want to start with the under eye first. You don't want to put too much on, just do a dot. Just start here, just dot it on, you know. You can bring it up if you want. This final dot is for lifting the eye. You want to make it look lifted. On the don't side, you're going to do this. This is something I used to do. That's a lot. On the do side, you can do a little bit of this down here, around the nose. Yeah, that's enough. On the don't side, you just don't, I guess you don't add anything. Now with a beauty blender, we're going to blend that in. It's very important you do it gently. So I like to start just really pressing it in there, letting it blend in. So this is highlighting your face. On the don't side, you're going to blend it in. You're going to notice there's a lot of product there. So I'm working very hard to make that look blended. So you see how like I worked very hard to kind of drag that everywhere? You don't really see it. It's almost like I just spread it everywhere. Whereas here, the concealer is controlled, it's placed, and I still know where it is. That's the difference. Now with the darker concealer, I'm going to start contouring. It's very important to know your contour lines. My contour lines, where are they? My cheekbone is here. So I want to start slightly under the cheekbone. So I'm just going to dot it on, just like that. Not too harsh, not too heavy. And I like to put a little bit on my jawline as well, just to bring some dimension there. On the don't side, we're going in with where I think it is. So you see the difference? Big difference. And then I'm just putting a line, thinking that's a good idea. Not always. It can be, but not always. Because that gives me less control of how much product I actually wanted on my face. So I like to use the very bottom of the beauty blender for this, because it has the most surface. can take my time just smoothing it out. This is kind of bringing me warmth to my face as well. So this is a very warm concealer. Some people like to use cooler tones. Be careful with cooler tones because they can look a little muddy. With warmer tones, you can bronze it up. Okay, so that's blended. On this side, there's going to be way too much product. So you're going to have a hard time blending it. And because I kind of did that straight line, it's like, it's not really dispersed right. So yeah, that's the don't side. There's just way too much going on. And the placement is not right, which you can see after blending. It's not quite right. Whereas on the do side, it's where I want it to be. And it's less product. Okay, next is loose setting powders. There's multiple ways you can do this. People like to use a transparent loose setting powder. So I have the Laura Mercier Universal Invisible Loose Setting Powder. Other people, like me, I like to use just a baked powder, which is in the similar skin shade as my skin tone. It depends, you can use a mixture of both as well. So I'm going to show you on the do side how to use the universal powder and where to place it. And I just pick up the product gently. So this is I'm talking way too fast. So this is just to set the cream, foundation, concealer product in, and it helps the product last longer as well. So I like to do this. Some people like to leave this on to bake. I'm not really a fan of baking. So as soon as it's on, I start just dragging it away. Because I feel like it's done its job. Now some people really love to bake. This isn't necessarily a don't, but it is for me. So they just sort of pack the product on. They will probably use a beauty blender to do this. And just really press it in there. And they will leave it in there to bake. Which is fine. It has amazing results. It helps the product last longer. But I feel that it can leave a white finish, which is a no-go. Especially for me. It's just a lot. To be honest, I didn't really do it that heavy, but some people can go heavier where it just leaves the powder on. It depends, it's on your preference. Alright, so with the actual powder, baked powder, it depends which one you use. I like to go with a very big bristled brush like this. Just pick up the product and I just pack it on in the other parts of my face. So this just helps to set all of that work in. Now, I don't really have a don't for this, but maybe you can go too heavy with this. I mean, I don't feel like that's such a bad thing, but yeah, maybe you can go a bit too heavy, maybe you can use the wrong shade. There's a million reasons why it could be a don't. Now, nose contouring. This is subject to your nose shape, like seriously. So because I used a concealer to contour, I'm going to continue using a concealer to contour my nose. You don't want to use like a powder to contour your nose and then a concealer to contour your cheek, like two different products. Keep it the same when it comes to contouring. So for this, I'm going to go very carefully. So I'm using this type of brush. It is bristled, but it's kind of like on the wider side. So there's a shape to it. And I just want to pick up the product. Because I'm not going to go in straight with the wand. Now for this, I'm going to start shaping out the shape that I want for my nose. So on the do side, I'm going to start here. Don't want to go too crazy. Bring it up. And that's probably enough. This is the shape I do. I don't do much here. I leave that alone. Some people might bring it all the way up. I do not do that for my nose shape. On the don't side, we are doing that. We are starting here and bringing it down. Maybe even bringing it a little further up. So I'm going back in with a beauty blender and I'm going to blend it. I just want to go carefully. I can bring it up a little, not too much, not too crazy. Alright, on the don't side, I'm blending it, but there's way too much product there. So I'm having a tough time already. And the product is kind of going everywhere because there's so much. One side has more product than the other. Okay. And as a final touch, because it's right in the center of my face, I can't really do a don't do and a don't. I'm just going to put a little bit of my highlighting concealer on the tip of my nose and on the bridge. So I don't like to do too much. On the don't side, you would probably put like it all on the bridge of your nose or something. I'm just going to do a little bit. Okay, and to set this, I'm going back in with the brush and my universal powder. I'm just gonna set it in, let it work, and brush it away. On the don't side, I'm probably just gonna like set it in or not set it. Actually, on the don't side, you're going to set it in with the wrong product. So on the don't side, you would be setting it in with your powder that's in a similar color as your skin tone. And that's just going to like go over that contouring work you did and not let it stand out. So that is a big no-no. Because it was kind of like, what was the point of that? You know? Okay, mascara time. Mascara is pretty straightforward, I hope. So I'm using my Lancome Hypnose Doll Eye Mascara. And with the do side, honestly, go in, wriggle up. Wriggle up. You want your lashes separated. You don't want it to look too clumpy. You want to see exactly what you're doing. And try and just keep them separated. So this can depend on what kind of wand you use. The goal here is to keep your eyelashes natural, separated, and long. The don't side, you're just going straight up, I guess. You're not really applying it right. You're just doing that. Maybe putting it in one direction. And then I'm going to go straight into the bottom lashes. So, bottom lashes, the don't side, it's just kind of like going in, thinking you can do the same thing as you did on your top lashes. No, you can't. Bottom lashes are shorter. And you can easily make a mess if you're not careful. So yeah, that is, like for me, that is hectic. Like that is crazy. If you have long lower lashes, you want to be gentle. You just want to touch. Just touch. And that's enough. Okay, it's time for blush. This one you can probably guess. So for my do side, you want to go in with something neutral. Something that's going to complement your skin tone. This is a pink blush. I'm going for a softer pink blush. One that's not going to make me look like a clown. So I just pat it on gently and I start building from there until I get the amount of blush I want desired. It's very easy, and that's enough, and it's there. Blusher on. Don't go too crazy, don't overdo it, and make sure it's from a brand that knows that blushers shouldn't be extremely pigmented. Now, here's a blush from the same brand. I'm going to use the same brush as well, just to demonstrate. So this is a Milani Baked blush. There's nothing wrong with it, it's beautiful. This one is called Eyeliner. It's quite pigmented and it's quite bright. So this would only suit a certain look, which is not this look. So let me just go in. So I'm starting from the wrong place. So you see when I started here, I just kind of softly dispersed it here. So I'm kind of like just starting. I'm just like trying to get it on there until I really see it. You see, because I kind of started like under my eye. It's not really the base placement for my face, and it looks too heavy. So if you can see the difference, this one is a little heavier than this one. The next do is highlighting. Now, I like to think you can't go wrong with highlighting, but you can. You can, it has been proven. So I'm using this type of brush to highlight. You see how it's not the smallest brush, but it is big enough and it is bristled. This is the kind of size you want to go for. And for this look, because it's neutral, I'm going in with a Becca Vanilla Quartz highlighter. I'm going to start with this point on my face. I'm just going to start working it in circular motions, up and down, and I can bring it up if I want to. And that is literally enough. You see how it hits the light? That's it. That's all you need to do. So if you are a highlighter lover, you're going to go with something a little excessive. Now, I don't hate this. I do love this. I've done it myself, but it's a lot. So I have this highlighter from a brand from AliExpress called Gella's Exquisite Powder. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite highlighters. It's very reflective. It's very bright. It's gorgeous, actually. So I'm just going to pick up a lot of it on this side. So let's start applying. It's going to look crazy. So you're just going to like start working it in, and it's just going to go everywhere. God, this is a lot. And every single particle is just going to hit that light. You see how that's just so much highlighter. It's pretty though, but it's not very complimentary. So we're coming to our last steps now, and it's the lips. Now this one, here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with overlining, which is what I'm going to do on my don't side. You know, some people just really like to overline. They just really like to overline. And I've seen all sorts. I've seen people do like this. It isn't too bad. I mean, I guess this is a makeup hack. Yeah, and they just kind of go extra to make the lips look like juicy, I guess. Thicker. Yeah. Now I'm not going to overline on this side. In fact, I don't even use lip liners that often. But they're very good and they stop the lipstick from bleeding over. Overlining versus not overlining. I mean, it's all subject to how you want your lips to look like, you know what I mean? Okay, and then I'm just gonna do the rest in this very beautiful lipstick. This is the Soft Touch Matte Lipstick by Anastasia Beverly Hills. I really love it. It's a beautiful neutral. Okay, so overlining isn't a terrible thing. I mean, I don't think that looks too bad, but it's quite pronounced, like it's very obvious to me. But hey, it is what it is. So I would say the very last thing between the do and the don'ts is setting spray. Some people don't use it, some people forget to use it. That's me, and some people use it. Setting spray helps the makeup last longer, and if you use a lot of powdery products, it just helps to kind of like set everything in. So I'm going to use my setting spray on my do side. And that's just going to help everything settle. So I like to fan that in. Usually I would use a fan, but I just have my hand for now. We are more or less done. Okay, so let's talk about it. This is very exciting. This is the very first time I've done something like this. So looking in my mirror here, both sides are equally looks. But definitely the do side is a yes for me. This is like what I go to. This is what I do in my own makeup routine, and I think it makes me look good. I think it compliments me. Makeup is used, I mean, I have put a lot of makeup on, but it almost looks minimal-ish. It's just there, and it's there to compliment me. This side is heavier for sure. There's more going on. There's a lot of things that are drawing attention in the wrong ways, especially that highlighter. It's just far too much. The eyeshadow is a little messy, but hey, it's not terrible. The eyeliner is thick. It's not the end of the world, but it is very thick. It's not what I'm used to. The mascara is bad. It's just like spidery. It just looks way too long on the lower lash line. Eyebrows are thick, but hey, I did this once upon a time ago, not too long ago, but this was a standard for me at one point. Contouring is just heavy, like especially on camera. That looks like a lot compared to the light side. And the overline lips are not for me. It's not something I do. I know it's one of those tips and tricks things out there on TikTok maybe, but it's not. It's not for me. So yeah, this is my do and don'ts. So what have I learned from this? Really, it's just like knowing your face very well, knowing what works for you, definitely when it comes to contouring. Don't go too crazy on your eyebrows. You want to keep them natural looking, especially if you have to draw them on. I do have quite thick eyebrows, so I know what kind of shape I'm going for because it's already on my face. It's good to know what kind of shape suits you. That is my do and don'ts. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Tell me how I did. Does this kind of give you an idea of where some things could have been going wrong with your makeup routine? Not that anything goes wrong. Makeup is makeup. You wash it off at the end of the day. Okay, so that is all I have for today, Saints. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time. So bye for now, and keep smiling. So yeah, bye.